Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to another episode. So, today we are going to be discussing gays and groomers and the transgender movement. So, I'm going to start off by first sharing that for a couple of years of my life, I was bi. Had a girlfriend, loved my girlfriend, but that leads into I don't think that was right for either of us. As is evident by I moved on into my life and I married a man, and she moved on in her life and she married a man. So, why do I bring that up and share that with you? Because I don't think that homosexuality is actually right. Now, before I have all of y'all freak out on me, okay, I'm not saying that people who want to be gay don't have the right to be gay. I'm saying that I don't agree with homosexuality. You want to be gay? Fine, be gay. But that doesn't mean that I agree with your lifestyle. It doesn't mean that I think that it's a healthy lifestyle. But I do agree that you have the right to choose that lifestyle if that's what you choose to do as a grown adult with other grown adults. So, I honestly think that homosexuality goes against our biological nature. You know, sex is an action that is meant to be used for reproduction. The pleasure aspect of it is secondary. I also think, though, that if you're an adult, you can make your own decisions in life, especially if you're making that decision with other grown adults and you're not hurting anybody and you're not pushing it onto kids. So, I don't think it's healthy to be gay, but I also think that you have the right to choose that if that's what you choose to do. That's your right. You can go ahead and do that. Now, I bring that up to kind of lead into this next video that I'm going to show you, this clip. It's of gays against groomers. Now, like I've already stated, you know, y'all know my opinions on homosexuality. You know, I think it goes against our biological nature, but if you're a grown adult, you can make your own decisions with other grown adults. But one thing that I really like about this organization is that they're saying leave the kids alone. And that is something I can stand by. That is something that I can thoroughly agree with. Nobody needs to be pushing anything on kids. Kids need to be kids. Children need to have childhoods. And their childhood should not involve sexuality or gender bending. You know, just like with the whole trans movement. You know, when it comes to the trans movement, personally, I think people who claim to be transgender have a mental illness. I really do think so. It goes even further beyond the against our natural behaviors, against how we are naturally meant to be. You know, we are men, we are women, we are meant to come together as men and women, and that is how society continues forward. That's the way I think on it. But if you are an adult, okay, and you've been thinking about it for years, though I may not agree with your decision, you have the right to do that, as long as you're not hurting anyone, and as long as you are not pushing it onto children. Still think it's a mental illness, but if you're an adult, you can do what you want. Just leave it away from the kids. Leave the kids alone. So now that y'all have a little bit of an idea on where I stand on my beliefs, you know, let's go into this clip and then we will discuss it more afterwards. So yeah.
Modern trans movement is using the LGBT community as a shield to push their radical agenda of mutilation, sterilization, and indoctrination of minors And as a gay man who represents the organization Gays Against Groomers, I'm here to make it loud and clear. The LGBT community is sick of being used as a scapegoat for these destructive practices that are ruining kids' lives before they ever even had a fighting chance. For years, the LGBT community has fought valiantly for tolerance and acceptance in American society, and in the year 2023, we have achieved that. Now, all our progress is being erased because our community has been hijacked by trans terrorists. The LGBT community is being used like a Trojan horse by extremists in a death cult to ruin the future generation of our country by destroying their bodies, creating irreversible damage, and lifelong medical patients before these kids ever reach puberty. And make no mistake, the radical trans movement has become a death cult. Their most recent mantra is death before detransition. They're possessed by a sick obsession with bodily mutilation, self-harm, identity destruction, and pure hatred for anyone who dares to question this dangerous ideology. America is a free society, and as a patriot, I stand for the freedom of all individuals to make their own decisions about their own lives. But where we draw the line is children. Minors who cannot consent. Yet that is exactly the demographic that these terrorists are targeting with their culture war. It's your kids. They say if you don't bend the knee and submit to their demands of gender-affirming care, which is the nice way of saying mutilation and sterilization, you are a bigot or a transphobe. And now LGBT acceptance in America is down for the first time in years. It's because people know that something is wrong and they're not on board with what's happening. It only takes a caring parent with a little common sense and gut instincts to know that permanently mutilating their child's body is much worse than being labeled anti-LGBT. Many now wear that label proudly. They say, if being against the medicalization of minors means I'm anti-LGBT, then fine, call me anti-LGBT. Because good parents care more about the lives and safety of their children than catering to these rainbow terrorists. I'm here to tell you now, standing up against these bullies and wanting to protect your children is not anti-LGBT. In fact, the majority of LGBT individuals are against it too, like me and like our entire organization, Gays Against Groomers. And we are fighting for visibility to reclaim our community from the trans extremists, to stand up against this evil and destructive ideology, to stand in solidarity with parents, and to give a voice to everyone who knows on a gut level that this is not right, but is too afraid to speak out in fear of being smeared or labeled a bigot. It is not bigoted to want to protect children from elective experimental medicalization. It is common sense, it is compassionate, and it is scientific. The gay left, in collusion with gay media and gay advocacy groups like GLAAD and HRC, are promoting a narrative that the LGBT community supports the medicalization of children, but that is a lie. The LGBT community at large does not support this. It's only fringe radicals. This lie is funded by donor dollars brought to you by Big Pharma. That's right. These organizations are sponsored by corporations like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, United Health Group, and other medical corporations who have a vested interest in turning your kids into lifelong medical patients because they don't see an innocent child with a bright future. They see dollar signs. It's funny, they call a group like Gays Against Groomers an anti-LGBT hate group, but the ideology of gender-affirming care is actually very homophobic. The truth is, the majority of gender nonconforming kids grow up to be gay, so in effect, they are erasing gays. Telling a masculine girl she's trans and needs to start puberty blockers deprives that girl of the right to explore her identity. What if she's a lesbian? What if she's just a tomboy? And telling a feminine boy he's meant to transition to female simply because he prefers playing with Barbies over trucks is outright sexist. At GAG, we see ourselves in these kids. Stop transing gay youth, stop gay erasure, save the tomboys, stop the sexism, stop using the LGBT community as a scapegoat for hurting children. This is a nonpartisan issue. Protect our kids. We are Gays Against Groomers, and we stand firmly against the elective medicalization of minors.
I liked that he pointed out that it's Big Pharma that's pushing this narrative in order to create a bunch more medical patients for the future. They're pushing something that is terribly destructive, both mentally and physically. They're taking kids that are, that they have questions in life, and then they are confusing them even further and causing serious medical problems for these people who will then be reliant on this system for the rest of their lives. Lifestyle choices are one thing, especially when you're an adult doing it with other adults and you're not involving children. Lifestyle choices are yours to make when you're an adult. Here in America, whether we agree with it or not, if it's not hurting anybody, you have the right to do it, pretty much. You can choose to do something that may not be in your best interest. But if it's not really hurting anybody, it's not really a problem. Mentally confusing people with this kind of trans abuse is a problem. Physically mutilating people with this kind of trans ideology is a problem. And it's something that really does need to be addressed. And I'm glad that people who have differing opinions on lifestyle choice can at least get together and agree that you don't do this to children. You don't push this onto children. You let children be children, and then when they become adults, they can make their own decisions for their lives. And hopefully, they've been guided properly by their parents, by their church, by their teachers. That ain't gonna happen if you've got parents that are following a trend. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen if you have teachers that are pushing an agenda. It's not gonna happen if you have churches being subverted with this chaos. People seriously need to reevaluate. Parents need to remember what it means to be a parent to protect their children. Schools need to be teaching math and science and history. They don't need to be indoctrinating children with political ideals. Doctors and psychologists that are pushing this really ought to be ashamed of themselves. I honestly believe a great many of them should be arrested for child abuse. And as for the churches, all I can tell people is pray. So, this is my video. Shares a little bit of my perspective on things, where I stand on certain ideas, and where I think that we can truly agree. And if anybody can agree with anything, it's that you don't hurt children. So, until next time, folks, have a nice day.